Whoa, here we are.
Yeah, helps you press the go live button. I'm going to run this countdown again. Be right back.
Now we're live.
Yeah,
right?
welcome to the Countdown Show, where we run countdowns all day, every day.
And we're gonna start doing different ones for every few minutes. We'll do a countdown. How about that?
Yeah, I hit the button to start the countdown, and then hit the go live button in StreamYard here, and there it pops up a modal and says like, "Do you want to local record and other stuff?" And I never hit OK, so the counter was on 1, and I hit go live, and I'm like, well, I probably ought to just run the counter again.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, running the counter is fun, right? Well, I am Brett Chittum, Business Technicalities, and CNWR.
Yeah, Jason Slagle, CNWR. It's been an eventful morning. We've got our teams working on an incident in the background here that kind of keep myself up to date on, and kind of going from there. Mm-hmm. So we want to talk about a topic. It's come up a lot recently in the past couple of days. It's come up on my live streams. It's come up on some other various things. It's the thought of the requirement to continuously show value to your customers.
Yeah.
This came up, it's something that I've been kind of drilling into account managers' heads for a little bit. Been drilling into this guy's head so that he can drill it into account managers' heads. But we're in an industry, it's kind of interesting. Since we've pivoted to this managed services model, if we're doing a good job, the customer stuff just works, right? Like they call us for normal help desky things, right? Like they don't ever tend to call us, working at incident, although not for a managed customer. They tend to not call us for security related things, right? And we hit this interesting problem that after a while, they're like, why am I paying these guys all this money? Like they never do anything.
Yeah.
And they don't draw the correlation that the reason that they don't ever have to call us is that we're doing what we are supposed to be doing. We're
supposed to be doing, yeah. I think that what happens, and you can equate this to a lot of things that you pay. I call it you're writing a check for it's not you can't touch this product, right? It's not tangible. It's not something you can. There's a lot of background stuff, more background than foreground stuff, right? Yeah, help desk foreground, issues with computers breaking, all of that, but all the security type incidents, all the different patches, the things we do to manage their backups, the things we do to make sure that their network is working correctly behind the scenes. And one of the things we've been working on is how can we go out, and when we do quarterly business reviews with our clients and technical business reviews, how can we show that value?
Yeah.
And I think it's important to tell the clients what you did in the background. I think that's the number one most important thing to tell a client to show value is, hey, while you were sleeping, we did all of this. And it's because I think what people don't realize in IT, and not us in our space, but people not within our space, is what we do helps business owners and helps companies and people that are leading companies sleep better at night, knowing that if an incident happens, we're there to protect against it with best efforts. But then if people do get through, which they will, we're there to help remediate and take care of them moving forward, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so this has come up twice in the past week. As far as remediation goes, I refer that work typically. While I am technically capable, I think Tom is pretty good at it, and probably 2 other people on staff Matt and one other are good enough to do data forensics.
I heard you're really good because MISEC. I heard you did really good at MISEC.
It's not. Typically, you wouldn't necessarily want the person protecting you to be the one to respond and provide forensics and instant response, right? Because they missed it. So I typically refer this stuff to Solus, Chris Lair, where he works. Referred one this morning, the one that we're working now. I'm like, hey, get a hold of this guy. I texted Chris and I'm like, hey, there's a guy coming at you. Come back to me if there's anything we can do to help, or if there's, remediation work that we can do, send it back my way. But I typically don't want to do that work. But it's kind of off topic. A recurring struggle that, again, we have, and to go back to the beginning of it, is 18 months. So we tend to do either 1 or 3 year agreements.
Right.
Although former Lawrence agreements are month to month, although some of them will probably try to convert to some sort of term. And honestly, the only reason I do that is that my costs are really front loaded, right? Like without doing that, I will do a month to month agreement, but like basically all of the onboarding and remediation ends up being time and materials. Right. It ends up being billed hourly because that is a non-zero amount of work. We tend to charge 1 month is our typical onboarding fee. That 1 month will not cover the amount of time it takes me to fully onboard a client. No, right? It just doesn't cover it. So we amortize that cost out through the rest of the life of that agreement. Right. And if people want to terminate, we'll typically let them, and we'll just charge like the cost difference between what they would have paid and what they did pay. Right. So we try to meet the middle ground there. But typically, what happens is 12 to 18 months into these contracts, and this tends to happen at clients where we have trouble getting in front of them with TBRs, right? Technical business reviews. We have clients that it's just hard to get in front of them. They're busy. They push it off. They don't do that. You'll start to see these signs that something's amiss, right? Like maybe they start ordering hardware from someone else, right? Like maybe and then they're like, can you just configure this for me? Maybe they, start asking for stuff to just be drop shipped, right? Like they start asking questions, and the reality of it is that they just don't understand what we're doing and what we're providing then. To me, the biggest thing you can do to alleviate that is the technical business review. Correct. Right?
I agree 100%.
So that is your spot where you can come in and you, as account manager, or your business gets to show the value to the customer. And that can mean a lot of things. Right. Like you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well,
put you on the spot here.
It's okay. I will tell you, in a technical business review, that's where you're selling why they're paying what they're paying. When you're doing a technical business review, you're talking about systems that are coming up end of life, right? And that's important for a customer to know about, because a biggest complaint is my computer's running slow. Well, the computer's 8 years old. We have a client right now that we're dealing with on that. The second thing is showing the client what we have done to keep them secure. And I think when you start to show the client that, hey, we're not sleeping on the job, we're doing things on the job. And then finally, building a relationship. I think that's the most important part of selling value, is having a relationship built so that they trust you and they know. Because if you sell the value, they're not going to question the price of something. And case in point, you went up and showed the value of a client. You had an hour and a half or an hour or so drive. You did something for a client we'd never worked with before. You fixed something and were able to put him in a better place. And then we offered a solution that wasn't non-zero amount. There was some cost to it. He didn't even care about the price. He cared that Jason came up, built a relationship, handled something. So there's no balking on price. And I think when you build that relationship and when you show the value to your client, cost is no longer the issue anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that is the end of the journey there, right? Is selling on value, essentially, right? You tend to have the journey of pricing models is hourly to proactive to cost plus to value based. But even in that case, right, like it's been, a month and a half since he signed that quote. We still haven't pushed the projects forward because it's got some weird technical issues that I'm going to end up having to do the work.
His old system doesn't have a USB.
It's got weird. Transparently, the system predates USB. So trying to get the data off of it so I can virtualize it was more challenging than initially thought. But even in that case, right, like without somebody staying in front of him and reminding him and communicating, it's really hard to show value. And he actually did call in. He's like, why is this taking so long? And then somebody had to remind him that I told him when I was down there that doing this would be a little bit of a process because of how old the system is. And there's like, transparently, I don't know how to do what he's asking me to do. I'll figure it out. Right? I know it's possible. I know you can run SCO on modern VMware, right? Like, so it's just a matter of I'll go through and I'll get it done. But it's going to take a little bit longer because of that. So that comes down to a huge thing, though. I think it brings it up that so much of this showing value is just communications.
Right. Oh,
like,
absolutely.
You need to communicate with the client. If your account managers are going in, or if you're small in your owner-led sales, if you ever hear the comment, you only talk to me when you're trying to sell me something, you have failed, and you have failed miserably, right? Like I'm tending to lean into the state, or try to lean into the state of over communicating, right? Like and not like just ticket updates, right? Like I don't read ticket updates when I get them, so I don't expect clients
to actually look at them,
right? I want a sales resource, account manager, owner, if it's owner-led sales, to just be reaching out and letting them know, like, hey, this is the status of this thing, or hey, like, just FYI, we're seeing an uptick in business email compromise and directed phishing, and we're monitoring your email a little more closely as a result of it, or we've stopped 100, right? Because that's another thing that happens. And this is, business owners are like the worst about this for some reason. They're like, hey, I need you to exclude me from the security products because it's inconvenient, right? It's stopping this email that I desperately need, and I don't see any value in it. And the what they don't realize is that, okay, maybe it stops an email that was legitimately supposed to go to you. And in most cases, I find it's because it's DMARC fail, because we use Mimecast, and it means the sender is misconfigured. But they're like, well, I need you to turn this off. And what they don't realize that you have to educate them on is, it blocked that one email. What you're not seeing is the 1,400 emails in the last month that were phishing, spam, or malicious
that it blocked that
may have gotten through. Some amount of them probably would have gotten caught by other filters, right? But like some amount of them would have ended up in their inbox. But it's really hard to prove a negative.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's impossible. Like I can't. They just don't show, right? Like when backups are working, they just work, right? Like and whether or not the true test of whether backups work or not, or when you go to restore it, did it successfully restore, right? But like getting a good backup every day, it's really hard. It's like, well, what am I paying? This stuff set up and it's just working. Like I don't need these guys to take care of this stuff anymore. What they don't know is that, like, oh yeah, in the past month, 2 Veeam updates got installed, and your repository, like a chain broke, and we had to redo a full, and the other care and feeding and maintenance that goes into any of that stuff.
It's about what happens behind the scenes. Equated to an insurance policy, you pay money every month for something in case it happens, right? And there's nothing going on in the background. So IT is actually better than an insurance policy because there's actually activity happening in the background, and letting your clients know that is important. We have 2 account managers, one on the CNWR side and one on the, taking care of the clients that we merged in with. And the challenge is getting in front of them, because especially, let's look at the clients that were merged in. The clients that were already CNWR clients, they're still same thing, same. Every day it's the same thing. But the clients that merged in from Tom's office, it's different for them. And so it's even more important for that account manager to be in front of them. And I had a conversation yesterday about, let's make email the last choice for contacting the client, because verbal communication, whether somebody wants to do it or not, will appreciate it, because we have to even show more value for those clients, because their world turned upside down when Tom wasn't the name anymore. And it's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, to a certain extent.
And that's really how we look at it. And we're doing what we can, but we can always do more as well.
Yeah, we can. So I'm gonna wrap this early.
Okay,
unless
yeah.
You have reason not to because
No, no.
I have to.
You have an
hop back
incident
on
to
this
deal with.
Incident call. Any final thoughts on this?
Understanding that, features and benefits. Let's go to the old sales. Features tell, benefits sell,
Yep.
right? But if people don't understand, if they don't know what the benefit is, how can you sell that benefit, right? And I think going to a client and showing value is showing the benefit of you to them. And that's what I'll end it with that.
Yeah. So mine, like, get in front of your clients, right? Like, there's a fine line here, right? Like, I'm not advocating you meet with them and go over every ticket you've solved, but like when you do meet with them, say like, hey, just FYI, like our backend monitoring system stopped, 1,200 email threats in the past quarter, right? Like, hey, these people are failing security awareness training. Maybe you want to talk to them. We handled 600 proactive tickets from our monitoring system in the past month, right? Like, you don't need to kill them with data, but you do need to remind them that you are doing stuff in the background on their behalf, or they just don't. After a while, they just won't understand that you're doing that, and they're going to question why they're paying you as much as they're paying you.
Yes, they will. They will.
That's it. That's what I got today.
This is like the fastest live stream or fastest video we've done.
60 minutes is fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, thank you guys for listening. And for the people that aren't going to listen live, like and subscribe and have a good one. Until next time.
See you later.